A teacher's dismissive chuckle nearly shattered a young boy's confidence, but reality arrived wearing credentials that couldn't be ignored. There are certain moments that seem to suspend themselves in time, altering the atmosphere of an entire space. Such an incident unfolded at Prescott Elementary in Ms. Worthington's third-grade classroom located in Chandler, Arizona, during the school's annual Career Week celebration. Career Week represented one of those yearly traditions where students gathered on the classroom carpet while various parents visited to discuss their professions, bringing along tools of their trade like medical equipment, construction helmets, or computers. The event brought a welcome change from the usual academic routine, offering students something to anticipate beyond regular lessons and assessments. 8-year-old Jalen Brooks could barely contain his enthusiasm that particular morning. Though smaller in stature compared to his classmates, he possessed remarkable intelligence and spoke with an earnest intensity that made every statement seem significant. This day held special importance because his father was scheduled to visit that afternoon. When Mr. Denton asked students to share information about their parents' occupations, Jalen straightened in his seat with obvious preparation and pride, announcing that his father worked at NASA. The response wasn't confusion but disbelief. Snickers emerged from some students, while whispers of skepticism circulated through the group. However, the most damaging reaction came from the teacher himself. Mr. Charles Denton, a man in his early 40s with receding hair and a preference for tucked-in polo shirts and khakis, released a low, dismissive laugh. His comment about Jalen's claim being quite imaginative, followed by a suggestion to aim for something more realistic, cut deeply. Several students giggled, with one girl even repeating the phrase as though sharing an inside joke. Jalen fell silent immediately, his gaze dropping to the carpet as his feet tapped together nervously. His hands, which had been animated during his announcement, now curled into tight fists. Mr. Denton continued with the lesson, apparently oblivious to how Jalen's posture had collapsed or the sudden quietness that had overcome him. Only Mila and Gwen, seated nearby, offered support by whispering their belief in his statement, though Jalen could only manage a slight nod in response. The remainder of the morning passed in a blur as other parents arrived to present their professions. Throughout lunch, Jalen barely touched his food and didn't participate in the usual playground activities. The moment had embedded itself in his mind, not merely because of the laughter or doubt, but because of how effortlessly an authority figure had dismissed him without consideration. What Mr. Denton failed to understand was that Jalen's statement was entirely accurate. His father held a position as an aerospace engineer, currently engaged in developing a Mars communications relay project, and wore his NASA identification badge daily. 3 days prior to Career Week, Jalen had been in the garage with his father, ostensibly helping organize old equipment while asking his characteristic stream of questions. Dr. Kelvin Brooks patiently explained the time delays in Mars communications, comparing it to texting with poor connectivity, which made Jalen laugh. These represented Jalen's favorite moments, when complex scientific concepts became accessible through his father's patient explanations. Dr. Brooks maintained a commanding presence professionally, yet remained gentle and attentive at home, always ensuring his son could understand and appreciate his work. At bedtime that evening, Jalen had brought one of his father's NASA folders to his room, hoping to share it at school. When his father explained that classified materials couldn't be brought to show and tell, Jalen worried aloud about whether his classmates would believe him. Dr. Brooks had offered straightforward wisdom, explaining that truth doesn't require applause or validation, and that Jalen should maintain his dignity regardless of others' reactions. That night, Jalen prepared notes about his father's work, creating drawings and practicing his presentation, excited to share this aspect of his life with his class. However, Mr. Denton's laughter had instantly collapsed that excitement into embarrassment. Jalen destroyed his drawings before recess, stuffing the crumpled remains into his backpack. Meanwhile, Brooks remained unaware of these developments, occupied with meetings while preparing an engaging, child-appropriate presentation for the class, complete with illustrations and photographs, including one of himself and Jalen at the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory. The afternoon proceeded slowly as Mr. Denton organized the classroom for parent presentations. Jalen watched the clock obsessively, his anxiety building with each passing minute. Other parents arrived and departed to polite applause, but Jalen remained focused on the door, simultaneously hoping his father would arrive and doubting whether it would make any difference. Self-questioning thoughts plagued him despite his attempts to dismiss them. With 15 minutes remaining and several presentations still scheduled, the classroom door opened unexpectedly. Dr. Kelvin Brooks entered wearing a navy blazer, white shirt, and dress slacks, with his NASA badge prominently displayed below his breast pocket. His appearance commanded immediate attention as his eyes located his son across the room. Jolin straightened so quickly his chair scraped against the floor. Dr. Brooks offered a calm nod before introducing himself and his profession to the stunned classroom. The room fell completely silent, not with laughter or confusion, but with the weight of realization. Mr. Denton stood motionless, his expression revealing his struggle to process this development. Dr. Brooks approached the front of the classroom unhurriedly, acknowledging Mr. Denton politely before engaging the students with an accessible explanation of his work. He described designing communication systems for spacecraft, comparing them to phones that allow distant equipment to maintain contact with Earth, which immediately captured the students' interest. As he presented images from the Mars Relay project and explained his role in maintaining connections with robotic explorers on other planets, the students leaned forward attentively. Only Mr. Denton remained apart, his attention shifting between the presentation, drive, Brooks, and Jolin, who now sat with renewed confidence. Before concluding, drive, Brooks addressed the earlier comment about NASA being unrealistic, allowing the implicit criticism to resonate briefly before suggesting that different people might hold different definitions of what constitutes reality. His subtle but clear message transformed the classroom atmosphere entirely. Following drive, Brooks's departure, Mr. Denton attempted to resume normal activities, but the dynamic had fundamentally shifted. The students' focus had transferred to Jolin, who sat quietly but noticeably more confident. After dismissing the class, Mr. Denton approached Jolin privately, offering an acknowledgement that he had been hasty in his earlier judgment and an apology for his laughter. He admitted his mistake and expressed hope that Jolin would allow him opportunities to do better. Jolin's response was measured and powerful, simply reminding his teacher that his father was real before walking out, leaving Mr. Denton to contemplate the full weight of his actions and their potential impact on a child's self-belief. That evening at home, Jolin and his father discussed the day's events over dinner. Dr. Brooks explained that people sometimes operate within limited perspectives and react negatively to things that challenge their assumptions. He emphasized that external doubt shouldn't diminish Jolin's understanding of his own truth and identity, and praised his son's courage in maintaining his honesty despite the dismissive response. The following day at school, Jolin noticed changed attitudes from his classmates, many now expressing interest in his father's work. He responded to their questions simply, without arrogance. Mr. Denton left a handwritten note of apology in Jolin's cubby, acknowledging his error and encouraging continued ambitious thinking. Jolin accepted the note quietly, understanding that while he hadn't required the apology for his own validation, the teacher perhaps needed to write it for his own growth. As Jolin left school that afternoon, he carried himself with genuine confidence, not because of changed opinions around him, but because the fundamental truth had never altered. His father had appeared exactly as Jolin had described, his profession was exactly what had been claimed, and most importantly, Jolin had maintained his honesty even when met with disbelief. The experience served as a reminder that young people often carry aspirations that exceed adult expectations, and dismissing those dreams diminishes not only imagination but voice and agency. Jolin's voice remained clear and authentic throughout because genuine truth doesn't require permission or validation, only someone brave enough to speak it. For anyone who has faced doubt, been overlooked, or told to lower their sights, this story illustrates that other people's limitations need not define your trajectory. Continue showing up, continue speaking your truth, and when positioned to believe in someone facing skepticism, choose to offer that belief, as it might fundamentally alter their path forward.